Welcome, replay viewers. This is Tim David. Welcome, Get Speaking Gigs family, the Gigs gang, whatever you want to call yourselves. Listen, today I am going to be showing you what $50,000 looks like. I have a stack right here in front of me. And more importantly, I want to introduce myself for the replay viewers. If you haven't seen me before, once again, my name is Tim David. I am the packaging and promotional magician for speakers who want to earn five-figure checks or more per speaking gig in the business space. Now, I know a lot of people feel like that's not them, but I believe every speaker can become, with just a few small tweaks and twinges to their messaging and to their marketing, into becoming a five-figure speaker. And the secret is not to chase the next gig. The secret is to position yourself alongside people who are already booking these five-figure gigs. Be a peer, not a pest. All right? Now, I'm going to show you what $50,000 looks like. It's actually a little more than 50,000. And more importantly, after that, I'm going to show you or talk to you about what $50,000 feels like. All right, so here it is first. Hopefully it shows up on my green screen. This is $50,000 in hundreds. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I don't know why that's not strapped. And this is about $3,000 right here as well. So that's what it looks like all stacked up. You know, here's the deal with that stuff, right? Many people will see that and will dream. They'll be like, wow, I wish, like, money's amazing. I know Grant Cardone has been doing these videos where he stacks up $1 million. Now, I don't have $1 million. And that's not exactly entirely, I think relevant for our audience here as well. But when you see $1 million, when you see $50,000 or 53 or 54, whatever that is, you may get a sense or a feeling of like, wow, I want that. I want that. And that's the first part. That's the first part. I'm going to take you on an emotional journey here, right? I just got off of a consulting call, a coaching call, a sort of a discovery call, I guess, a meet my member call. I don't know. And I always, listen, if you want to do one of these calls, if you want to talk about your speaking topic and see, if this is something I can help you with, happy to do that. I'll jump on that. You can go to getspeakinggigs.com to find out how to get a coaching call, I guess is the best way to do it. All right. So that said, I was on this call and I noticed patterns of people that I talk to about the speaking industry. They go through this emotional journey, and it's not always just the facts and the figures and the information and the steps, right? I've done a lot of videos on the steps that you got to take, the information on how to do it, but I haven't really talked about people's typical emotional experience. All right. Because this stuff, can get people pretty emotional. And so the first emotion I would feel is sort of a dream, a sense of wonder, a sense of like, oh, that's so cool. I want that. And then it begins to transition into, ooh, that might be possible for me to get that via speaking, right? And I run into a lot of people at this stage of the game. They reach out to me, say, hey, Tim, I've seen what you're doing. A five-figure check sounds pretty good. Sign me up. Let's talk about this. And I end up interacting with a lot of these people who have that dream and start to begin to feel that it might be possible for them. And this is where the emotional journey really kicks in, because I'll start to explain, okay, this is the process, step 1, step 2, step 3, blah, blah, blah. And they'll look at that process. If you zoom out 30,000 feet and look at the whole picture, it starts to become intimidating. It starts to become overwhelming. And you start to feel as though you can't compete with those speakers who are at steps 6, 7, and beyond. You start to feel that those speakers who are already established, you could never compete with them, and you feel inadequate. You feel, confused. All right. So the first feeling is, I want that. The second feeling is confusion. How do I get that? How could I possibly get that? The third feeling, once you see the whole picture, is I could never do that. right? And you begin to feel this fear. And then as it gets closer and closer to happening for you, right? As it gets closer and closer to happening to you, even more fear sets in. Oh my gosh, what if I actually book a gig for $10,000, $20,000? Could I deliver that value? And then imposter syndrome kicks in. All right. So you start out with, I want, then it becomes confusing. How do I get that? Then after that is explained, it feels like I could never do that. And then once we break it down and you start to go through the process, maybe you feel the fear, but you do it anyway a little bit, but you're just dipping your toe in, right? And then it starts to get closer and closer. And then you really start to feel nervous when people are like, let's do it. Let's book this gig. And you're like, oh no, I have to get up in front of these people and deliver $10,000 worth of value, or $5,000 or $3,000 or whatever is significant money to you. You know, you feel that, and you feel that imposter syndrome, and you feel that pressure. But let me tell you, hindsight is 2020. And I have, I was telling the conversation I had with someone today. I was saying, I have the benefit of being in this position where I have gone through it. I have walked dozens of people through this process. I've seen the impact of emotions on it. And those who are successful do experience all those emotions. They feel that fear. They feel that imposter syndrome. They feel that nervousness, but they also feel a sense of trust in the process. They feel a sense of feel the fear, but do it anyway. And they start to take these baby steps and do something that scares them a little bit every day. And they just start to move closer and closer towards the big, scary thing that seemed so intimidating years ago. And suddenly you're at this new place. And I was talking to one of my summit guest speakers, Kennedy, who's a good friend of mine. And we were both talking about, man, you know, he was complaining like, I got all these customer service issues and this and that. And I remember saying to him, my goodness, isn't it funny? You know, because we've been talking for years and years, you know, just 5 years ago, the stuff we're complaining about now, right? The stuff that we're complaining about now. Oh my gosh, I have too many customers. You know, I remember I was talking to him like, yeah, she took the small package option of only $10,000. And I'm complaining about booking a $10,000 gig. He's complaining about having too many customers. And just 5 years ago, these were like dreams. So I want you to understand, as you are looking at the speaking business, if you go and you look at other speakers who are established, you'll notice two things. Number one, they intimidate you. And they should, right? They should. If you're over here and they're way over here, you might think, how can I ever compete with that? You might think, oh, they have it all together and I'm so far behind. Absolutely normal to feel those feelings. Feel those feelings and then take the next step anyway. Make the next step towards this $50,000 anyway. Because it's those baby steps that feel scary, but you do them anyway, that add up to the place where you are now looking back and saying, oh, bummer, they only booked the $10,000 package. So that's the first thing you'll notice, is that they're intimidating. The second thing you'll notice is that every single one of those established high fee speakers went through the exact same emotional process as you or I. They all have. And some let the fear of failure stop them. Because remember, we talked about the different processes, the different points, the different emotions along the way. And one of them is a fear of failure. Another is a fear of success. Once again, what if I book the gig? What if I have to live up to this new standard? You know, the fear of success is very real. And it's there. Like, what if I become rich and therefore become a bad person because rich people are bad? Like, there's all kinds of head trash going on inside our emotional states. So all of that to say this, here's the takeaway for today's session. And again, doing these daily live streams, I want to make it super practical, applicable. Do this today, do that tomorrow. Today, I want you to think about where you are at emotionally on that process, on that scale. Are you confused and overwhelmed by all of the things that have to be done? Are you intimidated by speakers who are so far ahead of you on that path? Once again, once I lay out the path for people, they see it and then they become intimidated. You know, are you excited by seeing $50,000 And are you excited about possibly achieving high fee gigs yourself? Where are you emotionally? What is your emotion feel? Are you afraid you would fail? Are you feeling like an imposter? Like, I can't be an expert and stand on a stage. I cannot be some speaker who is helping. I can't even help myself. How can I help other people? Do you feel that imposter syndrome? Comment below. I don't know where you're watching this, but throw a comment below and say, you know what, I'm feeling this. And here's what I want you to notice after you do that. Someone's going to like it. Someone is going to like that comment that you made, and they're going to say, me too. Right? I strongly, strongly encourage you to do this. Go ahead, type in the emotion that you're feeling about the speaking business right now. Is it overwhelmed? Is it intimidated? Is it confused? Is it excited? Is it nervous? Is it fearful of success, fearful of failure? Or is it something entirely different? I am curious. I want to know what you feel, but I've noticed that people go through this process. You are not alone. I can't tell you how many people that I've spoken with, how many people I've walked through this process with, and every step of the way, there's a little bit of fear, there's a little bit of emotion, there's a little bit of uncertainty, there's a little bit of doubt, and they do it anyway. They trust the process, they take the step. I encourage you to do the same. All right, that is it for me today. Do I have anything to offer you today? Do I have any I think maybe just the Next Stage Speaking Summit. Check that out, nextstagesummit.com. All right, we'll speak soon. Take care.